എന്താ ആർക്കറിയാം?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm audible?
Yes, you are. Assalam.
Okay, thank you. By the time everyone joins, can I have a figure of how many are there who are under 30 in the group who have joined?
You mean through looks or through the biological age?
Pardon?
You mean through looks or through biological age? Which one do you want?
Biological.
Okay, then I'm not in that group. Okay, it's 7:30. I think we'll start. Okay. Yeah, Tasneem, we'll start. Tasneem, we can start.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Wings Powered International Women's Day Special Program. Before we begin, Alhamdulillah for His immense mercy showered on all of us, because we are the Khalifas of Allah, following a religion, a code of conduct, a principle of life, where both genders are entitled to equality on various walks of life. And at times, we find the inclination favoring the female gender. Allah says in the Quran that the one who is most honored of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. It is not caste, color, class, or gender that makes one superior in the eyes of Allah. Justice is in fact genderless in Islam. And having said that, we are on a much better pedestal on this Women's Day due to the rights bestowed on us under our belief system. This is the powerful statement we make today and every day. Education plus career plus hijab. She can have it all. Yes, we can have it all. Alhamdulillah. May I now invite Dr. Nishad Rahman, Executive Member, Calicut Chapter for Qiraat.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. المصباح في زجاجة. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. صدق الله العلي. السلام عليكم.
Thank you, Dr. Nishad Rahman. I now request Ms. Regina, General Secretary, Wings, to welcome the August gathering.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Respected President of Wings, Mrs. Mehnaz, and various dignitaries present here, Wings executive members, and my dear sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good evening to all of you. It has always amazed me as how do people think that a little piece of cloth above our head can be a hindrance to our dreams, education, and career. This battle that we have been fighting since a long time against these biases and hijab, how long more should we keep explaining ourselves and continue fighting against all these prejudices? Wings, Women's Initiative to Nurture Growth of Society is an organization of professional women working towards spiritual and professional upliftment of women and together serving the society. Today, on International Women's Day, Wing State Committee presents a virtual meetup with an eminent panel of speakers to tell us how they broke these biases without breaking themselves. First of all, I would like to welcome Mrs. Mehnaz Ashfaq, President Wings State Committee, to this event. Welcome, Mehnaz. Next, I would like to welcome our eminent panel of speakers for the day. Dr. Afshin Ali, Specialist Internal Medicine, Aster Medcity, Kochi. Mrs. Alina Musanna, Program Manager, Led by Foundation. Dr. Zarina PP, Director, Formex Paints, Frames and Engineering Private Limited. Warm welcome, Dr. Afshin, Dr. Zarina, and Mrs. Alina. I would also like to welcome all members of Wings and well-wishers. Welcome all. Last but not the least, I extend a hearty welcome to all those who have accepted our invite and joined us in this virtual meetup, either through Zoom or YouTube. Once again, welcoming all of you on behalf of Wings. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Regina. With great honor, I may now call upon Ms. Mehnaz Ashfaq, President, Wings, for delivering the presidential address.
Thank you, Tasneem. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh, my guest sisters. So, hijab, the hot topic these days, right? There are people who wear it with full conviction, others with inhibition. Some are embarrassed when asked about hijabs, but others are proud to exhibit their identity, right? Well, you need to know its real value in order to defend your choice. You know, it should be worn to seek respect and not attention. You got to wear it with love, wear it with pride, and most of all, wear it right and with right attitude. Only then we will be able to convince our friends when they question our choice, you know. And we moms have to take that pledge to ensure that our daughters grow up knowing its worth. Let that be the resolution we take on this Women's Day. It would be great if we could do that, right? Well, when I was a teenager, I was, you know, kind of barely 13. There was a wedding in our family. And one of the relatives came to my mom and she pointed to me and said, she's wearing a very beautiful dress, but does that hijab should go along with that? So I was, you know, kind of in an, what do you say? I was looking at my mom, waiting for a green signal. Maybe she would ask me, okay, maybe she would, you know, give it a go. So I was just eagerly looking at my mom, and then she said, no, she has to wear it. And then I was like, oh, I had to wear it. So, you know, that's how we kids are. We're just waiting to take it up. But from that day on, that feeling of attachment towards hijab and its importance kind of reinforced in me, you know. If my mom had allowed me to take it up that day, maybe I would have, you know, played with it my whole life. So I'm extremely thankful to my mom for that, alhamdulillah. And that is the kind of feeling we need to nurture in our kids as well, right? And even I had another instance very recently, like Wings had received a proposal from one of the government officials. And one of my friends contacted me and said that, Mehnaz, maybe you can include a few non-Muslim sisters' names as well. We don't need to project it as that all Muslim women organization. So I said, I mean, why should we do that? I mean, that is the truth. We are an almost all Muslim women organization, right? So why should we hide that? Why should we conceal that reality? Let's just do it, you know, as such, and let's not hide anything from them. So I did that, and I went along with that. I just proposed it, you know, like we are, and then we got that project. I mean, Wings was accepted to do that project. Not only was that accepted, we were accepted only because we were a Muslim group, because that was a kind of arena that we need to look into. So that is what it is. If we do something for the sake of Allah, He would open many, many doors, you know. Talking about my school days and college, I mean, we did not face any kind of discrimination as such back in our school or college days, you know, because those days people hardly bothered about all these. So there weren't any struggles as such, alhamdulillah. So I don't have much to share from those days, but we have our young but experienced guests to do that. That's why I've invited them. So I leave it out to them. So basically, my point is hijab shouldn't be taken off out of social and political pressure, nor should it be worn out of religious pressure as well. But it should be done just for the sake of Allah, out of our love for Allah, out of obedience to the one and only. That should be our sole motive. And that has to be deeply ingrained in our minds first. Only then will it reflect outside as well, inshallah. So I'm not taking much of the time. Yes, I'll wind up with that for now, because I'm sure many of you might have had a long day with several programs on this occasion of Women's Day. So I don't want to stretch it any further, because tonight we have a diverse panel of guests with us to talk on this topic, and also to share their personal experiences, which they have withstood being a hijabi throughout their journey, inshallah. Looking forward for a productive and an inspiring session. All the very best years from Wings Fraternity. May the Almighty accept our efforts and bless us all with the best. Ameen. Jazakumullah khairan to all sisters out there for joining us tonight. I welcome you all with this message of mine on this Women's Day. We are hijabi women. Only our beauty has to be hidden. Our aspirations and dreams can be uncovered, because that's not something to be smothered. Let's pursue our passion and meet our mission without any inhibitions, inshallah. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Mehnaz, for putting it on the spot. Each time a woman stands up, she stands up for all women. This Women's Day, let us hear from women in hijab on how they broke the glass ceilings without breaking themselves. Dr. Afshin Ali is a specialist in internal medicine at Aster MedCity, Kochi. She completed her MBBS from Kotte Medical College and DNB in internal medicine, affiliated to National Board of Examinations, New Delhi, from PVS Hospital, Calicut. With great sense of delight, I invite Dr. Afshin Ali to deliver the first guest talk of the evening.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, a big thank you to everyone who gave that very beautiful introduction. I'm really honored. I hope I'm audible, and at any point, if there is any, poor connection or something, please let me know. Okay, so as I said before, I feel really honored to be addressing this esteemed gathering, and I sincerely thank all of you for giving me this precious opportunity. And first of all, I wish all the beautiful, powerful beings on this platform a happy Women's Day. I feel truly humbled at the thought that, Allah has made me attain a position where I'm invited to speak about something, particularly about a topic that I was always skeptical about since my childhood. So what is the topic? It is education, career, and hijab. Can she have it all, actually? Can any woman procure this trio in her life? Can any woman triumphantly flaunt all these three together? So as I observed when I was a child and a teenager, I saw most professional females abandoning any one among the three eventually. Maybe it is not relatable to everyone at this times, but during my times, that's what I'm trying to relate. So I saw most professional females abandoning any one among the three. And I remember how my thoughts were on this regard. And most of the times I thought that these three were actually mutually exclusive, that these are all parallel lines, that they can never intersect at any point of your journey. What I perceived was that either you can fly high, you can fly high by renouncing or abandoning this piece of cloth, or you can snuggle into the comforts of the so-called hijab that society has defined or has manifested a definition. The definition where the female is camouflaged or is just forced into being blended into the background in the name of being protected, especially by the men of the society, of course. The men who has self-raised them into the pedestal of protecting women by binding them to the grimes of household chores, by giving new perspectives to hijab, which was never heard of, which was never heard in Quran or Hadith or, whatsoever. For example, to mention a few, like avoiding sports and athletics, doing business, traveling, public speaking, or even, speaking your own mind inside your homes or, personal premises were considered to be breaking the bounds of the so-called hijab, or breaking the barricades of haya or adab, which was never defined anywhere in Islam. So this newly manipulated definition of hijab was so suffocating, so throttling, that women naturally related that in order to be successful, you have to break these walls and chains of hijab, which included this cloth on the head. naturally women had to break all these to come out of the shell. And unfortunately, this cloth on the head was also abandoned. And this was equated with progress and being modern, and a demonstration to the society that I am a part of the progressive squad and not the regressive bygone era. So, by the end of these, I was kind of, all my thoughts were in chaos and all these thoughts were muddled in my head. And I joined college with mixed emotions and so many doubts brewing in my head. All the while the hijab was there in my head. I have never denounced the hijab on my head, but you need that conviction, just like Mehna said. I talked progressive, but I appeared regressive to all my friends. And there was this constant bombardment by the people around me by, the cliche names you're called, like penguin, tata, terrorists and all. And one of my friends still called me Al Qaeda. And I think he has saved my name as Al Qaeda because even, after 7 years of college, he still, calls me Al Qaeda. So coming back to the point, I was of course offended initially, and my constant effort was to defend the hijab whenever I could. I remember my fellow mates in the dissection table. In the first year, you need to dissect the bodies and all. And, in the dissection table, we have around 20 people on the dissection table. So, I remember my friends were so eager to irritate me every day with new topics, and they always found fun in instigating me to the point where I sizzle with temper. And of course, I acted immaturely for my age, and I acted as if the responsibility of protecting the izzat of the whole ummah was on my little shoulders. But eventually, I grew out of it, and later on in the journey, I knew that many of them secretly respected our decision of standing the odd one out in the name of our identity and religion, because they never could at any point of their lives. So relating to that topic, I would like to recall one such incident that happened during my house surgency period, which was like 5 years after this first incident. There was this sir in orthopedics, who always used to make fun of me for my hijab. And ironically, he was a Muslim also. And he used to argue that, like, by just covering your head, few strands over your head, are you trying to salvage the morality of the entire society and all? But by this time, I had mastered how to tackle these comments apparently peacefully, even though my jaws were clenched underneath. I used to tell him, okay, that I was a proud Muslim and I upheld this identity as an honor, whatever you say. So during this orthopedics posting, you are posted in the operation theater also. So in the operation theater, you have to wear that conventional dress. That is the, the OT scrub, which is kind of, conventionally it is green color. It is always green. It is always supposed to be sterile. But, ironically, that was the dress we never used to wash. And it was always the smelly one. So that's a very ironic part about that. Okay, coming to the point, it was, conventionally it was half sleeve, and you were not supposed to cover your head or chest or whatsoever. So, and you were supposed to wear this OT cap, which was a transparent one. So, I felt really uncomfortable and I felt like kind of exposed, like I was not at all comfortable with that. So what I did was that I extended the hand and I made it a full sleeve. And for the head part, I went in search for an OT material, a dress. I cut out a triangular piece out of that and made a hijab and wrapped it around my head. Of course, I was looking really funny, but anyway, it served the purpose. So one day the nursing superintendent, the nursing superior in the operation theater broke into an argument with me and said that I can't enter the theater with this extra cloth. I made a big ruckus and an audible commotion there, and eventually she let me enter. After all this drama, I assisted the surgery and the surgery came to an end. But that sir, which I mentioned before, the one who used to make fun of me, was like, he was watching all this drama. And after the surgery, he just came to me and said, Afshin, he said nonchalantly, if you had removed that tattam of yours because of that nurse, I would have lost all respect for you on that instant. So, I knew then and instantaneously that all these people who stand claws and nails against us do secretly respect us. They're actually irked and irritated by the fact that they don't have an ideology like us for which we people vehemently stand for. They don't have a profound theory like us that motivates them to dress and behave like us every day. And they don't like us hijabis who don't give them the space to send all the bad signals for them so that they can just come in and meddle with our lives and, leave us broken. They don't like us hijabis who cares a damn for all their designer clothes that gives them free visual treats every day. They don't like us hijabis who dare to raise their voice and fingers against subjugation and oppression. And finally, therefore, such outpourings of mockery and pointings and jeerings and all actually gave me a special sense of delight, a sense of pride that I'm standing for something valuable. And that was the reason why I was being made a commodity of mockery. And quite hilariously, there was hatred from those seasonal hijabis also. Then seasonal hijab is something which I cooked up, like those hijabis who wear hijabs only during certain seasons like Ramadan, and those who had their luscious hairs open in the wind during Onam, Christmas, and all those celebrations and all. And the ones who quoted, they justify their action by saying faith is in my heart and not on my head, kind of things. So they too were kind of motivated by in the long run by the persistent all the year hijabis like us. And in the long run, they encompass the fact that ideologies are not something that you can just show on and off whenever you want. And also that in Islam, you have to accept the commandments as a whole. You're not given the choice where you can just take the ones you like and discard the rest. So you can't have those partial hijabs with little bangs in the front and the ones around your neck with the bosoms in the breeze and all. So and at the end of the day, they also understood what we stood for. So gradually in my journey, I realized that we are not the ones who are looked down, but conversely, they are intimidated by the strength of our faith, and they look up at us. And all the hurls or abuses are just pure hate and envy for something precious. So by the end of my undergraduation, I became a proud hijabi, to be frank. During my PG days, I used to wear those extra socks on my hands because the full sleeve kurtas in India and Kerala are technically like 3/4, and you never get the full sleeves here. One day, my HOD actually blatantly asked me on my face that, are you not forced into this attire? Are you not forced by your family? Don't you feel suffocated in all the wraps around your head and hands and all? And what's the need for this kind of mockery in the civilized society? The fun fact is that he was a person who always used to wear full sleeve shirts and pants and socks, and only the only entity which was not there was the cloth over his head. And of course, he was my HOD, so I couldn't blast him with debates and all. And I told him politely that if being more and more undressed and nuder was a mark of a civilized society, I prefer to be called uncivilized. And he never asked me the question again. So, and also since my PG was done in Calicut, hijab was not an alien entity. And in fact, it had become a fashion statement. So that's totally a different story. As I grew up, the perspectives of hijab also grew, and the purview of hijab took new dimensions. I don't know if this, this topic comes strictly under the topic discussed today, but I would love to share some experiences on that aspect. I myself began to experience that hijab is not just this outfit externally worn. It's actually a protective garb for the heart, the tongue, your thoughts, and everything, in fact. It's something that you adorn in the morning like a badge, which reminds you that you represent something divine, and that you are not supposed to look, talk, or behave in any way that brings shame or dishonor to the belief that you represent. At my place where I work, during the free times, it's just like any other people. People are always engaged in, backbiting and talking bad behind the others, gossiping, manufacturing rumors, etc. And the most intolerable part is the cracking of obscene jokes and all with double meanings. And, these are the trends of the day. And such people are tagged as, new generation, progressive, liberal and all. So sometimes I feel that it is not even right to even sit amongst them with the hijab on my head. I don't, find myself in a position to, stand and give a lecture to them on morality, but at least I find it imperative on my part to at least walk out of the room. So yes, in a nutshell, what I meant to convey is hijab is a beautiful, beautiful boundary that Allah has mercifully created for us. It is not at all oppressive. It is not throttling. It is not restraining. But on the contrary, it is something that elevates us to higher ranks every day, which is higher ranks morally, spiritually, and as a basic human being. It's truly a crown that every Muslimah should proudly adorn over her head. So that's all about my emotions and thoughts about hijab. I hope I was clear and honest enough. And of course, I hope I have not bored you after all the precious time you have spent for my humble words. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our good deeds and intentions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It was crystal clear. Thank you, Dr. Afshin Ali, for capturing the topic so perfectly and effectively in your words.
Thank you.
The ideology we are clinging to is definitely liberating for us. And inshallah, soon enough, the deniers will comprehend. Next, we have Ms. Alina Musanna to address the gathering. She is a commerce graduate from Delhi University and a Young India Fellow. She has over 5 years of work experience across corporate and development sectors. She believes in creating positive social impact and is currently working with Led by Foundation as program manager and hopes to empower young women. Over to you, Ms. Alina Musanna.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And I'm really honored to be here today to be a part of this gathering and to address all of you. So thanks for organizing this and for giving me the opportunity. Coming to the topic, what I'd like to share is very similar to Afshin, my own journey and how it has been and what has been my experience of being a hijabi. So I grew up in a nuclear family, and in my family and within actually my first cousins or my immediate family relatives, no one wore hijab. I went to a co-ed school, to a convent school, and I didn't wear hijab up until I graduated from school. While my family was always religious and they were dedicated and practicing Muslims, we didn't take hijab as a part of it at that point in time. As I was growing up, I got more and more inclined and inspired by women actually who wore hijab, and I always looked up to them, and I started realizing that this was something that was essential to my identity, and I would like to do that. That's how I started reading more about it, listening more about hijab, what women had to say, why was it required as part of our faith, and what is it that I could do about it? And I realized that I was really comfortable in my skin to start wearing a hijab. So after I completed my school, I started wearing hijab, and that's when I was entering college. I studied in a different town, so I was also moving cities, and that anyway meant that I was starting with a blank slate, and it allowed me to create my identity the way I wanted, which meant that I entered college and I went to Delhi University. I entered college wearing hijab. When I was doing this, because no one in my immediate family did it, there were relatives who questioned it. While my family was very supportive of the fact, they kept reminding me that they're there for me and they would support my decision, but I needed to be very clear on why I wanted to do it and to be sure that it's my decision, there's no pressure from them, and they won't be upset in whatever decision or whatever route I decide to take. And they were always there for me. But my immediate family had concerns about how I would be perceived once I started wearing hijab, because I was going to a different city. The political climate, I believe, has actually been charged for a very, very long time. So to be seen visibly as this Muslim girl living in a different city, there were security, safety concerns that they had. Of course, like the common perception that this is oppressive. Second, it is actually conservative and someone might be asking me to do this, were of course all part of the concerns that they had for me. While they came from a very good place, they were all there for me, and these apprehensions were because they loved me. They asked me to just really think about it, and also could I not continue my faith, continue practicing my faith without this piece of cloth, was a question that they constantly made me reflect on. And that just helped me increase my faith, and I just grew in faith as I thought more about it and I started doing it. So I think mine has been a journey of not wearing hijab to wearing it, and I think it's also been a slow journey. Once I started wearing it, while in all public platforms I felt more comfortable doing it, in family gatherings it was not always easy for me to do it, because they had seen me grow up without hijab for a very long time. So to suddenly actually start adopting it was difficult, and that's something that I'd like to share with everyone, that it was a journey, and it's not been 100% where I say that, oh, no, I'm never going to remove my hijab anywhere. While at all public platforms, that's been the constant image I have. I think with family gatherings, it's still a different setup. But what about my education and my career? And that's, I think, majorly what we're here to speak about. I have never seen this become a hurdle for me. And I'll talk to you about my journey. So after I went to Delhi University, I made great friends. And I think if there were people who were apprehensive, and they were, I could see it when they interacted with me, I was actually happy to not have those people as friends who would judge me for wearing a piece of cloth. Because if they had to judge me, then I would really be on my own and not be friends with people who thought they were progressive and liberals, but really found it difficult to understand that someone could decide to do it on their own and also could follow their faith without harming anything. I didn't want to impose my beliefs on them, but the least I expected them to do was to respect me for the beliefs I had. I found great friends who respected me and accepted me the way I was. Then I went on to do a corporate job. In my final year, I got selected at a software as a service company, and I was really lucky to be amidst employees who were not only respectful but also very concerned. So while I was the only Indian Muslim woman at that point in time in my office, I was given a space to pray. When I was fasting, they would make sure that I leave in time to get home for iftar, and if that didn't happen because I decided to stay back in office, they would actually give me food, be there for me, remind me that it's time. So I was really happy, and that's the kind of environment we're talking about, where if you have the option of actually going for companies that are respectful and that take diversity and inclusion not only as token or a fashion word, then actually opt for those where they really respect your culture. And they never saw my hijab or my faith come or become a barrier for my work. I was always honest in my work. I delivered what I was required to do, and I don't really necessarily ever saw a link between wearing or dressing in the way or the kind I wanted versus the work I wanted to do. That never became a challenge. It wasn't a conflict ever. It was always in sync, or it was always aligned. And then I decided, after 2 years of working at that company where I had a great experience, I decided to study further, and that's when I did the Young India Fellowship. Now, the Young India Fellowship is run by Ashoka University, which is a liberal arts university, and I had multiple interesting discussions with people on campus about hijab. People had different opinions, but one thing that stood out to me was that I personally did not feel that people were disrespectful towards me. They were right in expressing their opinion and telling me what they thought of it. A lot of it, of course, came from the angle that it is patriarchal. And as someone who claims to be a feminist, how can I continue wearing a hijab and still be a feminist and ask for equality and rights for all genders? I was able to at least share my perspective. I don't know how much I was able to convince them, but stick to my faith and at least talk about why I believed in it and what I thought of it. And that continued. Interestingly, I also took a course on women, feminism, and changing India, where again, we were talking about, is the feminist tent big enough to accommodate hijabis? Because that's actually, again, a very hot topic as to, is this not a patriarchal way of looking at it? And again, like I think Mehnaz mentioned, is this liberating or is this oppressive? For someone who is comfortable in their skin, for someone who chose to wear hijab and is actually very glad that I did that, I find it to be extremely liberating. If someone were to come and tell me that I need to take my hijab off, that's what I find problematic and conservative. Why is it that this piece of cloth is making you so uncomfortable when I'm not really commenting on your choice of clothes? You're free to wear what you are. Let me be. So that's just the ideology I think I have always abided by. And as Afshin was talking, as she was sharing, that she also introspected a lot and reflected. And I think a lot of these questions make you do that. And as part of my course, when I was doing a lot of readings and I was thinking about this, there were questions that I had. I have also seen people who have gone from wearing hijab to not wearing, and both out of choice, actually. I did definitely consider, I did think about it with the new understanding that I had. Was it still in sync and in alignment of what I wanted to be? And was I staying true to myself? And I realized that I was. And I'm very glad that I took all of those, I took that time to reflect, because all of that has helped me grow in my journey and just made me even more sure of the decisions I have taken. And I hope to stick with it, inshallah. So that's up until education. And then again, I moved into the development sector. So after finishing the Young India Fellowship, I started working again, and I joined a health tech startup where again, I was the only Indian Muslim woman and the only hijabi in the office. But I did not see that hinder my work or my career in any way. After that, again, that is when I found out about Led By, and I knew I had to join that organization because the cause is something that's so close to my heart. It is a platform for professional development and leadership training for Indian Muslim women. And through the program, I have again had some very interesting discussions, because our program participants actually represent a wide spectrum of Indian Muslim women, from women identifying as cultural Muslims to practicing women. Again, within practicing women, women who wear hijab, who don't wear hijab, who've gone from being hijabis to non-hijabis to non-hijabis to hijabis. I think that's a wide gamut of women that we get to interact with. And one thing that stands out to me is that it has nothing to do with your education or career. You can definitely have it all. And I know it might be coming from a place of privilege, but if you think that it is hindering and it's being put in conflict, you're being asked to choose between one of them, then if you can just get out of that organization, if you can just skip that college, go to another one, because you don't want to be around people who look at this as regressive, who are not even open to listening to your point of view and accepting you as you are, and who are making you question your identity. Because the point is that you can have everything you want. You can be ambitious. You should actually be ambitious and driven. And there's nothing stopping you, definitely not hijab. So you would much rather surround yourself with people who will be there for you, who will support you, than become a hindrance. And that's just one part of their mentality that they're reflecting here when they're questioning your hijab. And I know people, like Afshin mentioned, within the community as well. I'm not even talking about people from outside the community who are not okay with the idea of hijab and who want women to stop wearing it, and who have all sorts of apprehensions, including, oh, aren't you seeking more attention instead of actually like diverting attention? The onus is not on you to actually answer every single question and to defend your decision. But yeah, with that, I would like to conclude with just the final words that I am glad that I took this decision. I continue being very strong in my faith, and I haven't seen this disrupt or become a barrier or challenge to my identity ever. And if anything, I think I'm even more vocal, and I continue wearing my identity not on my sleeve but on my head at this point in time. And anyone who thinks that it should be the other way around and you should be required to choose between it, you don't have to whitewash your identity to look a certain way to be an employee of a company or to fit in an educational institution. You don't. The idea is that you should be who you are, and people should be willing to accept you like that.
Absolutely. The hijab is only covering the hair and not the brains. Thank you, Ms. Alina Musanna, for that energetic and stimulating talk. You absolutely nailed it. Special thank you for the points you made. Dr. Zarina PP is the director of Formex Space Frames and Engineering Private Limited. A recipient of POSOCO Award in 2015, she worked as a faculty in Department of Electrical Engineering at NIT Calicut, LBS Kasargod, and Rajagiri College of Engineering in Kochi. She was a Green Office Advisory Board member at IIT Delhi. With great privilege, I invite Dr. Zarina PP to deliver her address.
Yeah, so we got to hear from two youngsters, I would say, because they were very vehemently, they were arguing why we should not remove hijab and how they have been, to what was their journey they have mentioned to the whole group. So what I would like to do is I would like to share my experience, like hijab only after entering the college. That is, I should say in my third year of engineering, I started wearing hijab. Also that we saw, like nowadays we get to see people, all the young girls wearing hijab in almost every part of, at least in Kerala, wherever we go, we see everyone. My voice is breaking.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, you can go on, try.
Yeah. So in almost every part of Kerala, if we go, we see, now it has become a fashion sort of. But in my days, almost 25 years back, when I remember the day when me and my friend, we decided to start off with hijab by surprising. Like we thought that we knew that it will be a big surprise to all our batchmates, because I was in electrical and she was in civil engineering. And in those days, we didn't have the practice of wearing our dupatta, making the dupatta something like covering the hair and putting it in proper shape. That sort of practice we didn't have. So we thought that we should go and buy that. In those days, we used to have mafta. So we went to Calicut City and purchased the scarf, and we came back, and next day we both started wearing all of a sudden. So it was a decision made after. Okay, am I again not audible?
Someone unmuted in between, that's all. Once again.
Yeah. So it was a decision made by actually referring to so many studies. We happened to go to one Quran class where already we had that feeling that we didn't have we never knew that what we are doing is wrong. But later, when we went to one particular Quran class, it was conducted by MSM, I think, during those days. So we understood that what we are doing is not correct. So we went ahead in by taking a bold step of wearing the scarf one fine day to the college, and it was a very big surprise to all our classmates. And it was they thought something happened to us. So the thing is that if we are used to a particular dressing pattern every day, and the first when they see us in that particular dressing every time, there's no problem. But all of a sudden, if we come up with some new dressing pattern, or all of a sudden if we come with a hijab, they'll think that something went wrong with them. So anyway, after that BTech time, during BTech also, they gradually understood why we have moved into this particular attire. And later, when I moved to Delhi also, my guide was actually, he was a Brahmin. Still, I never had any problem with any of my colleagues. Like in my whole department, there was no hijabi, but I never had any inhibition, or and in the same way, they also considered me as the one among them, and there was no difference at all. So when I hear people just shouting slogans or talking so loudly about hijab should be there or not, and I feel that it is just a matter of conviction. Like once we are convinced, it's not just about hijab, for that matter, anything. Like if we if it is for regarding the education, if we tell a girl who is lazy about studying, if we tell that by studying you will achieve this, you can achieve so and so positions, she won't get convinced until unless she decides, or she means it's come to her mind that she should do, and until unless she's convinced, she won't do. So once we are convinced, I don't think there's any nobody means even everyone around will take it up very lightly, and there's nothing to be no, there won't be any hindrance, I feel. So what I would say is that in that long journey, that is in BTech or in MTech, as it was in Calicut, there was no problem. But when I went for my PhD, it was in Delhi. So there also, I never faced any difficulty. So now, but the thing is that even though I am convinced, what I won't be able to convince the same, convince another person to wear it, because I believe that it should come from within. So how it should come from within, that's the thing that we can just we have to see. Like here we got to hear from two of our friends. So they were telling how they had their experience they had shared. But in my case, means all the Arab countries, like people who study abroad, they never felt, they never had this question. But in India, especially when we go to other states, there only we face this problem. But my message is that until and unless we have any inhibition, others also won't take it the other way. So we needn't. I don't think there was any argument sort of on hijab anywhere in my PhD days, and maybe it was there when during my initial period in BTech, when I switched on to another mode. So only that time there was a questioning. So nowadays, if we train wear this, I don't know how long it will be. Like how as a change occurred to me, there can be a change in anyone's life. But what we should be doing is we should be exposing them to the virtues of the book, the Quran, and why. Because recently I had a small discussion with my daughter. She was telling about this hijab when I was telling. She had seen somewhere that somewhere she was saying it is just a dupatta sort of. In a way, it is said that the head should be covered. So some arguments are there, which some people post it that way also. So in that case, what I did is I referred to Numan Ali's post and all on hijab. So there they had given very clear definition of what is hijab, and actually he was telling that hijab, the word meaning doesn't mean covering the head, it is actually a barrier. So we need to do lot of research, or rather lot of study, to if we want to convince others. But our conviction will come automatically because of so many our own upbringing or whatever. But if we need to convince others, we need to do a lot of research, and we need to have a proper understanding of each word, and we should be able to convey in a better way. So I think from all the previous speakers, our youngsters might have got some spirits in the sense, and naturally I don't think anyone in this group will have might have faced a difficulty in their career or in education regarding the hijab. Is there anyone? I would like to know whether there was anyone who faced any difficulty in their career or in their education. I don't think it's there, but we gathered here just to share our experience how it was. So I think with these words, I don't have anything more to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zarina Pipi, for that vivid talk with your personal experiences, insights, and for putting across them with so much ingenuity. The floor is now open to members of the audience to share their experiences. I request members of the audience to share their personal experiences with regard to the wearing of hijab. We are trying to make a statement today. So your experiences are also welcome to add more grace and meaningfulness to the function.
Yes, let anyone share whether they had any difficulty in wearing hijab at their education institute or in career.
Yeah, exactly. If there is anything different, if you want to share, please come forward. Sisters, you can unmute and speak.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Welcome.
Sufara here from Trishur.
Yeah, sure.
Audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Actually, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Actually, I have a personal experience, like even I did my schooling in a convent school in Ernakulam district. But even as Serena was rightly pointed out, in my days, usually this that is a Christian management school. So there used to be very less number of students from the Muslim community. Basically, we belong to Kodamangalam area, so that is also a Christian dominated place. But usually the Muslim parents, they generally don't send girls to the convent school that time. And while I was studying there, we used to have what do you say, that scarf with the two pins, two clips on both sides. We used to wear that scarves that age. So that we had a uniform, like blue skirt and white shirt with half sleeve shirt. But even with that, we used to wear that, what do you call that, tattam. And they, sisters, there all the teachers were including sisters and other non-sisters teachers were there. But they used to what do you say, they tried to insist not to wear this, because why do you use this? It's not like when. Hello.
Yeah, please carry.
So while we were in UP classes, they used to compel, but they never say you please don't come to school with this, but they use their all tricks to make sure that I am not using such a dress code. But when I came to the high school, like I think when we were in UP classes, we didn't feel it irritated or we didn't feel sad about this. But when I was in a high school, like 9th and 10th, even I used to feel that, okay, because of this dress, am I getting like out of the class or like out of the group, or am I getting a different overview? Like that, I used to feel guilty also. But later on, when I moved to college, but never I had a experience like that. But still, when I joined when joined as a teacher in a government engineering college, that was when in 2000, year 2000, I joined government college Kottayam as the first posting was there. Then that time, all the teachers, they are supposed to wear that there is not a strict rule like that, but they all used to wear sari. But then when I joined and I tried to come with churidar, and by the time there was mafta and all, so when I tried to join the college or try to go to the classes with the churidar and mafta, the head of the department and the other faculty, including the seniors, they were just pushing like, it's not a better dress code for you. You have to come with sari, because they are all students are there. They won't obey you, or they won't respect you if you are coming with such a dress code like that. But then I actually somehow managed to come with the same, practice the same dress code. And later on, I think maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years later only, the government order came, like you can make your profession as a teacher also with churidar and all. So there were, I just wanted to add that there were issues in our state also, but all such sort of issues were like died out then and there itself, or that we couldn't bring to the notice of the public or to the family at that time. But now the situation has changed, and even when such issues are there, students are not able to, like they have the mental tension, and they are putting it to the notice of the public, I believe. That's all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Suhara. Can we now move on? Is there anyone else who want to share their experiences?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Mehreen. I'd like to share a few points regarding feeling intimidated, questioned, mocked for wearing a hijab. I had undergone through quite rough experiences right from my childhood. And the irony is that the harshest of experience I underwent was when I was in school. And I studied, my schooling was in Muscat, Salalah precisely, which is a Muslim country. And I recall I was a part of the school choir. So we had this day, and for the past 2 weeks prior to the Republic Day, we were practicing singing patriotic song, as the chief guest was the ambassador from India. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, dear. Just carry on.
Yeah, so the chief guest was the ambassador. So the school authorities were very particular about the programs as to its perfection and everything. So after 2 weeks of practice, on the day of Republic Day, on the Republic Day, when we were supposed to perform, I arrived at school early in white uniform and with the hijab, of course. So I was in 7th standard, I recall. And the morning when I went to the music room, where all the rest of the choir members were assembled, my music teacher calls me to a side and he tells me, he's a South Indian, he's a Tamilian sir, a very nice person. He very open-hearted. He only cares for how well you sing. He doesn't care from which gender or your religion or your caste or whatever. So he called me aside and he said, I'm really sorry to say, Mehreen, but you can't be singing in today's choir. So I was shocked. I said, why? Did I do something wrong? Was I singing something? Was my singing horrible? He said, no, it has nothing to do with your singing. It is because the vice principal feels that you're the only hijabi in the whole choir. So there won't be any uniformity. So for a moment, I was stuck, because the hijab is something that I had grown up seeing. So I felt that it is a part of me and I had to wear it. I never went into the in-depth of, as to why you're wearing hijab and everything, but I always felt comfortable with it and I had no reasons to question it. So obviously I was puzzled as to why would someone be uncomfortable because I'm wearing a hijab. I mean, hijab has nothing to do with my singing. So I told him, is there no way I can sing? He said, no, I'm really sorry, but there's nothing, I can't, there's nothing else I can do. So I said, yeah, then it's okay. But you please tell Vice Principal that India is not uniform. India is diverse. Maybe it is time that we understood that. That was the only thing that I could muster at that time, being, in 7th standard and being confused myself as it is, as to why someone would oppose a piece of cloth. And I just walked off from there. But ever since I got that rough patch, I would ask my dad about how I could tackle when people ask about my hijab. That kind of became like my mission. And my father, being a leader and an orator, he would tell me when people ask, how is it that you convince and everything. But over the years, these kind of incidences as to should you wear hijab when you're doing a program, would it be better that your hair is shown and you're in uniform with all the others, these kind of things come up every now and then. But somehow I could always give answers to it. Some of them were convincing, some of them were convinced, some of them were not. But what I've understood over the years is that it is important for you to know the intent of the person who's questioning you. There are people who will question you out of their care and concern for you, and because they don't know what it is actually, so they will ask you. At that time, I think those are the best kind of people for whom you can give the message. Then there are people who will simply do it. No matter how many times you explain it to them, they will still ask you the same thing. They will still try to put you down in front of a few people. The intent of those people are clearly negative, and I feel you shouldn't respond to them at all, because they are not going to take it in the right sense. So as hijabis, I feel the explanation and everything should be done using our judgment to find out what the intent of the person who do is, because the hijab issue is not just misunderstanding. It's also a part of a political agenda as well. So I think as hijabis, we need to be very clear about this and formulate our answers that way, so that, we don't become a part of the unwanted noise and political agenda. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Merin. Thank you so much. Can we have more experiences?
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Khalida Harris. I'm currently residing in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So Mehreen, who just spoke, is my sister. So even I wanted to add that, it's very shocking that, we did our schooling in a Muslim country, Oman, Salalah, and still we had to face a lot of, these kind of mockery and ignorance in a Muslim country because we were here wearing hijab. So my few experiences was, I used to compare during my school days, and people used to compliment for that. My teachers used to be happy, and they used to actually tell me to pursue that side. But even then, just a day before the annual day or the program, they used to come and ask me, Khalida, are you actually gonna, wear this thing and come tomorrow, or are you gonna wear a full sleeve? And it was shocking because that never changed. Even if I did my job well, even if I had the capability or not, it always came down to this piece of cloth. And they always said that, it won't look uniform, or it won't look good when everybody is wearing, half sleeve or a mega sleeve. You're coming with this full sleeve. You look like an advocate, or you look like a penguin, just like Sister Afshin told. There were a lot of these pet names we used to get. Motachi. A lot of people actually thought they were that stupid to think that all hijabis were bald inside. And I used to find it funny, but at the same time, at that age of 15 or 16 and 17, I felt that it used to pull down. All these comments used to actually pull down. When you go home, your parents and madrasa teachers are teaching you about hijab and the power it gives you, but then when you actually step out in the world, people actually pull down. And then I happened to do my BDS, my dentistry in Karnataka in a Hindu management college. And that was very, very bad for me, because whenever there is a problem, whenever there is a ragging issue or any sort of issue, the hijabis used to be called, and we were very, very, very few from Kannur and Talasheri and Calicut, and they used to simply shout at us. And even once my dean, in a room full of people, he shouted at me, and I was like, sir, I was not even there on that day. And he's like, it's always these people, it's always these people. That comment just came like a bullet, these people, he kept on saying that. And I felt so bad. And when I spoke to my mom about this, it's when Umma actually told me, when they give comments like this, you prove them wrong. You prove them wrong. There is a big board in your college with all the outstanding students' name, and it's all Hindu names. You go, you be the outstanding student, and you prove them wrong. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to do it. But then I understood that is how we can show them this hijab is not cloth that oppresses us. It's not pulling us down, and each and every comment of theirs is actually giving us more power. So I would urge all the hijabis who, slowly but surely, things are changing, it's getting better, but still we are facing, even in this 21st century, we are being pulled down because of hijab. So I think all the girls need to take each and every comment or mockery that comes their way as a kind of something, as a revenge, to show them that no, it is powerful, and this is not just a cloth that we use to cover our hair, but it also gives us the power from within. So yeah, that's my message for all the hijabis and all the girls who are dealing with such kind of thing now.
Thank you, Khalida. That was powerful enough. Special regards to your mom. Please convey our regards.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Yeah, welcome to Please go ahead.
Yes, എൻ്റെ പേര് ഫാത്തിമ ഇബ്രാഹിം. ഞാനിപ്പം എഞ്ചിനീയറാണ്. അപ്പം ഞാനൊക്കെ ഇതുപോലെ മഫ്ത ഇട്ട് തുടങ്ങിയ സമയത്ത് എൻ്റെ ഉമ്മ ഇടുന്നില്ല, എന്നിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഇടാൻ തുടങ്ങിയത്. അപ്പം അതൊരു ഭയങ്കര കോൺട്രഡിക്ഷൻ ആയിരുന്നു. ഉമ്മ സ്കൂൾ ടീച്ചറാണ്. അപ്പം അവിടെ ഒരു ഗവൺമെൻറ് സ്കൂളിൽ സാധാരണ പോലെ സാരി എടുത്ത് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്ന അമ്മ. അപ്പം ഞാൻ മദ്രസയിൽ പോയിട്ട് പഠിച്ചിട്ടാണ് ഇത് മഫ്ത ഇട്ട് തുടങ്ങിയത്. അപ്പം അതൊരു എല്ലാവരും ഉമ്മ ഇടില്ല, മോളെന്താ ഇടുന്ന, അങ്ങനത്തെ ഉള്ള ചോദ്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ആദ്യത്തിലുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ ഈ കോൺവെന്റ് സ്കൂളിലാണ് എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര കോൺട്രഡിക്ഷൻ തോന്നിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. സിസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന സ്കൂളായിട്ട് പോലും അവർ ഹിജാബിനെ ഒട്ടും പ്രൊമോട്ട് ചെയ്യില്ല, ഭയങ്കര എതിരെ. ഇവിടെ പ്രൊവിഡൻസിൽ എനിക്കൊരു അനുഭവം, എൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫ്രണ്ട് അവർ പോയിട്ട് പർദ്ദ ഇട്ടിട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല, അവിടെ സിസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് വരുന്ന ഇതാണ്, എന്നിട്ട് പോലും അവർ പർദ്ദ ഇട്ടിട്ട് പഠിക്കാൻ BEd പഠിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് തന്നെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവർ പിന്നെ അവിടെ നിന്ന് വേറെ ഫാറൂഖ് കോളേജിൽ പോയി പഠിക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. അതൊരു ഭയങ്കര കോൺട്രഡിക്ഷൻ ആയിട്ട് പല സ്ഥലത്തും തോന്നിയിട്ടുണ്ട് അവർ എതിർക്കുന്നത്. പിന്നെ എഞ്ചിനീയറിങ്ങിന് വന്നും ഞാൻ ഇതുപോലെ മഫ്തയാക്കിയപ്പോഴും അങ്ങനെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളൊന്നും ഇതുവരെ തോന്നിയിട്ടില്ല. എനിക്ക് ഉണ്ടായൊരു രസകരാനുഭവം ഞാൻ പറയാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത്, എഞ്ചിനീയർ ആയ ശേഷം, ഗവൺമെൻറ് സർവീസ് കയറിയ ശേഷം അസോസിയേഷൻ ഓഫ് എഞ്ചിനീയേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ എഞ്ചിനീയേഴ്സിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഗെറ്റ് ടുഗദർ ഉണ്ട് എല്ലാ വർഷവും. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് ടൈം ഞാൻ പ്രാവശ്യം പങ്കെടുത്തിട്ട് ഷട്ടിലിന് പങ്കെടുത്തു. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ ഞാൻ സെക്കൻഡായി, ഒരു കുട്ടി ഫസ്റ്റായി. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ചുരിദാറും മഫ്ത ഇട്ടിട്ടാണ് പങ്കെടുത്തത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ കുട്ടിയാണെങ്കിൽ പാൻറ്റും ട്രാക്ക് സ്യൂട്ടാണ് ഇട്ടത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ കുട്ടി എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞു, നാളെ സ്പോർട്സിനൊക്കെ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു ട്രൈ ചെയ്യണം എന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞു, ഈ ഡ്രസ്സ് ഇട്ടിട്ടിരുന്നു ഓടാനൊന്നും പറ്റില്ല കേട്ടോ, ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരിക്കും, ഇതിടരുത് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾക്ക് വേറെ ഓപ്ഷൻ ഇല്ല, ഞാൻ എന്തായാലും പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുമില്ല, ട്രൈ ചെയ്യൽ. സ്കൂളിൽ ഓടിയതാണ്, അതിന് ശേഷം അങ്ങനത്തെ പരിപാടിക്കൊന്നും പങ്കെടുത്തിട്ടുമില്ല. പക്ഷെ പിറ്റേ ദിവസം ഞങ്ങൾ ഓടുകയും ചെയ്തു. ഈ കുട്ടി ലാസ്റ്റ് മിനിറ്റ്, ശരിക്കും ഞാനും ആ കുട്ടിയും തമ്മിൽ തന്നെയായിരുന്നു അവിടെയും മത്സരം വന്നത് ലാസ്റ്റ് മൊമെന്റ്. പക്ഷെ അവസാനം ഞാനാ ജയിച്ച, ഫസ്റ്റ് കിട്ടിയത് 100 മീറ്റേഴ്സിൽ. അപ്പം അതൊരു വ്യത്യാസം നമുക്ക് ആ ഒരു ഇത്. എന്നിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഡ്രസ്സോ ഒന്നും അല്ല. ഇപ്പൊ ഈ സ്പോർട്സിനൊക്കെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഈ ഒരു യൂണിഫോം ഇതിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരുമ്പോൾ അതിലൊന്നും കാര്യമില്ല എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്. ബിക്കോസ് ആ ഡ്രസ്സ് കൊണ്ട് അല്ല ഒരാൾ ജയിക്കുകയോ തോക്കുകയോ ഒന്നും ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതൊരിക്കലും ഒരു തടസ്സവും ആവുന്നില്ല എന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നുണ്ട്. അതാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു അനുഭവം. ഓക്കെ, നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് നമ്മുടെ വിശ്വാസം, അതുമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ധൈര്യമായിട്ട് തന്നെ മുന്നോട്ട് പോകാം. നമ്മുടെ ഡ്രസ്സ് ഒന്നിനും നമ്മളെ തടസ്സമാകുന്നില്ല എന്ന ഈ ഒരു ഇന്നത്തെ ആ ഒരു കൺസെപ്റ്റ് വളരെ ആപ്റ്റാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ നമ്മുടെ വുമൻസ് ഡേക്ക് എന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു. അസ്സലാമു അലൈക്കും.
Thank you, Fatima. Anyone else? All your experiences have actually taken the whole function into a greater pedestal today. All very powerful, inspiring, and stimulating experiences that you have shared. Okay. So may Allah strengthen our wings to fly higher, to bring more glory to ourselves and our community, inshallah. Now I invite Dr. Tasneem Fatima, Vice President, Wings, to propose the vote of thanks.
Yes, dear sisters. So now we are coming to the end of our discussion. All of us are energized by hearing all the experiences. And as Dr. Zarina was mentioning, I also didn't have any bad experience while doing BTech and MTech. But on one experience I still remember is once I had gone to Rome to present a paper. So when I was standing in airport, like after getting the boarding pass and I was walking through the airport, one police woman came to me and told she wanted to check me and groped through my headscarf. So that was the one experience I still remember. The thing is that we'll have to face these like situations, and we have to face it with courage and with confidence, because we are not doing anything bad, but these people are trying to make us think that we are doing something bad. Actually, these people, RSS people, just they are trying to they want to establish the cultural nationalism. That means they mean that there should be no other nationalism other than RSS. So this is like a cultural weapon. So we should fight against it. Just as our Suhra teacher was sharing her experience in convent school and all. Actually, this convent school, just think, they are covering the teachers, the sisters in the convent school are covering their heads, and they are preventing the students from covering with the scarf. So it's like an indoctrination. So the thing is that they want to make the children like there is no problem in covering, showing our hair and all, because just till the gate of the school, the people, the students can wear the scarf, and they have to remove the scarf to enter to the school. That is what happening in convent schools. So those people coming from the Muslim families that they're studying in this convent schools, when they're growing up, like I know a few people, but they have no problem, they don't feel any problem to show their head in public in sometimes, but they're from the Muslim family and they're very much pious and all, but they don't feel that much a big problem in removing the headscarf in public. For us, like we are used to it from the childhood onwards, we can't think of removing the headscarf even for a single moment in public. So that is what these convent people, school people are planning. So all these things we have to overcome. So these kind of gatherings will be energizing each other to face these kind of situations. You know, our state, maybe 150 years back, here the women were not allowed to cover the chest, the upper part of the body. So after fighting only, the women here are able to cover their chests. So we are living in such a state. So that is the current scenario in our country and state. So we have to fight against it. Now, let me come to my duty. First of all, I thank our guest, Dr. Afshin Ali, for sharing her experience in a wonderful manner. And next, I would like to thank Alina Musanna for her energetic and stimulating talk. Now I thank Dr. Zarina for sharing her unique experiences and inspiring us. Now, after these talks, we have heard the experiences of Suhra teacher, Mehreen, and Khalida Harris, and Fatima Ibrahim. Thank you all for making us more powerful through sharing your experiences. And next, I would like to thank our General Secretary, Wings General Secretary Regina, and our dear President Mehnaz Ashfaq, and Tasneem for doing a good comparing, a wonderful comparing. And also I thank Dr. Nishat Rahman for the Kirat. Okay, and last, I thank all the participants who found time to spend in this discussion and participating in this discussion. You know, all of us are too busy, and we have, like me also, most of us are working and we are very tired and coming from the offices, and still we find time to sit together. May Allah reward us for this, and may Allah help us to gather together in the Jannah as well. Okay, by these words I conclude. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Tasneem Fatima. In Surah Nisa, Allah promises that, but whoso does good works, whether male or female, and is a believer, such shall enter heaven, and shall not be wronged even as much as the little hollow in the back of a date stone. So when we are being entitled to this beautiful concept of gender equality, let us cheer each other, and let every success story of a hijabi woman be an inspiration to more women. And let we march to a day where Prophet Muhammad Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam can boast about the multitudes of success stories, inshallah. Thank you everyone for your graceful presence. May Allah accept this from us. With that, we come to the end of the program. Jazakallah khair all for joining. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.